Dr. Natalie Beauchamp here, author of the book Hack Your Health Habits. You've probably, unless you've been living under a rock, heard about the ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting. So what is intermittent fasting? Well, it is exactly that, is fasting for a certain amount of time. For example, so let's say you have dinner at 6 o'clock and you don't eat until the next day at 6 o'clock in the morning. That gives you 12 hours, it gives you 12 hours of fasting. Now, the benefits of intermittent fasting are just too long for me to list here, but they can be quite, it can be quite productive for people to do intermittent fasting, integrating it very slowly, because you don't want to go necessarily, and do a 24-hour and a 48-hour fast right away. But what it does, it can really reset and reboot our body. And if people have certain ailments and so forth, there is something to be said about it. But if you want to start slowly, do the 12 hours, and then the next day do 13 hours, and then a few days later do 14. So basically what you're doing is you're extending the period of time where you're not eating. Now, you could not do, or you should not do, intermittent fasting all the time, because as important and as much as intermittent fasting has health benefits, you also have to consider that you can't do the same thing for your body all the time. There's such a thing called a diet cycling, to make sure that your body goes in cycle, because going back, in the days, it was feast or famine. We didn't have food all the time like we do now. So mimicking the feast and famine and the cycle of eating is, I believe, innate to us. So there's great value in it. And let's face it, we're consuming way too much food. We're consuming way too much sugary food as well. So if you've been wondering if intermittent fasting would be good for you, give it a try. Start with your 12-hour fast after dinner, and then just increase and see how you feel. One thing that people are surprised about it is how much energy they have when they're fasting. So let's say you don't eat until noon or 1 o'clock. They're amazed how much it can make a difference. Now, little caveat here for people that have blood sugar issues. Again, not saying that intermittent fasting is not for you, but you have to do it in a wise manner. Like everything else, it's not a one-size-fits-all, so you really have to determine your way of eating and consult a knowledgeable health professional if you have some concerns. So this was all a bit of an introduction about intermittent fasting. Like I said, give it a try, see how you feel with it, but it honestly has some amazing therapeutic value as well as overall health values.